Hello, listeners. Welcome to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey.
Hello.
Unlocking Your Truth is a talk show about metaphysics and spirituality. And we broadcast on 101.7 FM across the Fraser Valley on a Tuesday evening from 7 to 8 p.m. Pacific time. And we also are found on all the major podcasting platforms. And why are you laughing? You make me lose my thread.
I'm sorry. What
have I said and what haven't I said?
It just sounds funny. We can be found on all major platforms.
Anyway, I should let you continue the introduction.
Go ahead, Dr. Leslie. Be my guest.
I think I didn't say from the unceded territory of the Stolo Nation on 101.7 FM on CIVL across the Fraser Valley every Tuesday from 7 to 8 p.m. Pacific time. But the show is not just on the radio, it's also a podcast on all the major podcasting platforms. And also you can find it on my website, drlesliephillips.com, all the millions and gazillions of past episodes. And every time we do a show, we talk about metaphysics and spirituality. We choose a different topic under that umbrella. And tonight's topic is dreams and receiving messages in dreams or through dreams.
That's exciting. I like this topic.
It is. It's a popular topic. People tend to like it. And we haven't talked about it for a good while. And the reason I thought of it is that I had a dream last week. And unfortunately, one of my friends passed away over the weekend. And the week before, I had a dream. And I was just going about my business in my dream. I think I was shopping.
Figures.
This friend just appeared unsuspectedly and surprisingly in the middle of the street. I think I was in the front of a shop. And I said, well, hello, what are you doing in my dream? And she said, I've come to say goodbye. And she gave me a big hug. And it felt like this was it for this lifetime, moving on. And she had a group of people with her, and we had a hug, and then she left. And she passed away the weekend after that. So it just made me think about how in dreams we can get those big life and death messages. And so I thought that we could talk about that, how one of the most common dreams, and it's actually been studied by scientists, one of the most common dreams is dreams about death. There's 7 or 8 of them, and I can go through all of them, but one of them is dreams about death. And I know in my life, when people who I've known have passed away, I do tend to have a dream that communicates that event being imminent. And I think I'm not the only one. It's quite common for people to.
I thought it makes sense. I mean, it's a change in the energetic field, right?
It's a transition, isn't it? It's a transition from the physical realm into the non-physical realm. And interestingly, I think another common dream is when expectant mothers dream of their unborn children, or they have conversations with their unborn children in their dreams. So it kind of happens both ends of the spectrum of our life cycle, on the way in and on the way out, that we have these meetings in our dreams, these conversations in our dreams. So, you know, perhaps to say goodbye at the end of a life, or to forewarn somebody, to prepare somebody that you are in the process of leaving. But also to introduce a new personality coming into the game, and what that relationship's going to be, and what that agreement is, and, you know, how those individuals are going to respond to one another. What type of relationship is it going to be? So I'm very interested in our listeners tonight sharing their experiences. I'll share a few more of mine. And they're all a bit different. You know, it's funny, when I was really young, my father told me that when somebody in the family would pass away, he would always dream one of his teeth fell out. And I must have taken that on board, because I had a dream when I was, I don't know, probably around 20 or so, that I lost a tooth. And my father was on holiday at the time, but he had a dream on the same night that he lost a tooth. And then a week later, his mother passed away. So there was like this family dream where losing a tooth equated to losing a member of the family. I also remember when my mum passed away, about a year before she passed away, I had a dream, which sounds unrelated, except it wasn't. It was very related, where my mother and I we were both dolphins, and we were surfing the ocean waves together. But there was this deep meaning within the dream, that we were travelers together in spirit, that we journeyed together in and out of physical reality. And for some reason, I knew in that dream that she was telling me that she was leaving, but there was also a commitment to say the journey continues. We'll be back. We'll be back in another form, because we are, you know, committed to each other, fellow travelers in spirit and in life. I have another one that I recently had as well that I'll just share, where my dad loves birds and he feeds the pigeons in his garden. And I had a dream where I was in his garden, and somebody said to me, you need to let go of this pigeon. And I looked at the pigeon, and there were all of these energy cords connecting me to the pigeon. And when I woke up, I realized that's telling me to start preparing for one day that my dad won't be here. So spirit has a way of communicating with us through our dreams, of preparing us for the transitions of life through our dreams. And I don't think, by the way, it means my dad, I think he'll be around for a little bit longer, but sometimes people start preparing for that shift ahead of time, you know, forewarning and preparing people. So dreams of transitions in and out of life. So listeners, what examples of those types of dreams have you had? Have you had dreams where a new one was going to be born into your family and you connected with them in the dream state? Have you had dreams when somebody in your family was about to leave and you received the message in the dream state. I'd love to know your stories as well. Now,
we have a couple from Brian
okay, sure.
and one from Amber as well. So let's give you Brian's first. It says, Dr. Leslie, I had a dream with you in it a few weeks ago. I remember you clearly being there. I just can't remember what it was all about. I know you're upset about something. I used to remember those kinds of dreams very clearly, but lately it's been harder. I think because I dream and receive so much every night.
Well, let me comment on that one, because oddly enough, so many people have been telling me they've been seeing me in their dreams. Someone else told me I was in France with them in their dream this week. My aunt told me I appeared in her dream right in front of her face like this. So I don't know, I guess I'm getting out and about there on the astral at the moment.
That's cool. Yeah, you know what? I get dreams too, and I find with my dreams, I'll dream about somebody that I don't recognize visually, but I recognize their energy. It's really interesting.
Yeah, well, if that is interesting, and because when you're dreaming, you're going more into a multi-dimensional realm. And I'm going to try and cover some slightly different material than we've covered before. We've talked about premonitions before. I think we've even talked about past lives in dreams before. So the idea is that you can meet somebody who you know in the dream, and they appear differently. Maybe you're seeing a past life version of them, but you can recognize them by their unique energy frequency.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's very clearly them. I have no qualms about understanding who they are and things like that.
Yeah,
that's quite interesting. Brian has another one, but I'm going to go to Amber first. We'll give her. Brian says, yes, what was the idea of dropping in without calling card?
Say that again.
Brian says, yes, what's the idea of dropping in without a calling card?
Yeah, my apologies, Brian. How presumptuous of me.
Okay, this is from Amber. Welcome home, Leslie. We missed you and Corey. I have to log off as we are departing on a road trip. Looking forward to watching the replay. Oops. Okay, Amber. Sorry you had to drop out. So I'll go back to Brian. Brian, I had a dream with my parents in it, a local restaurant. Though I didn't recognize it, I did feel it was my parents are both alive. They were surprising me with the visit. I remember that pretty clearly. I call them visitation dreams, and most of mine involve people who are still incarnate. And I remember portions of them and the people clearly, just not all the details lately, not like it used to be.
Yes, visitation dreams. So I suppose that's true. It's not, that we can connect and communicate with people that we know in our dreams, maybe exchange information about what's going on in our lives, stay up to date with each other. Mm-hmm. So, well, let's talk about some other common dreams that the scientists who've studied this have identified. And I think you'll all recognize these type of dreams. You probably all have had all of these types of dreams, maybe at least once, if not many times. So have you ever dreamed that you were at school doing an exam? That's quite a common one. Have you ever dreamed that, Corey? Being at school, about to take an exam? I know I have.
Oh, yeah.
Or being definitely in a classroom. Yeah. I think being in a classroom, I've had many dreams where I've been in a classroom, and actually many dreams where I've been teaching a classroom of people. And I do feel that often what's happening in those type of dreams is that we are learning in the dream state. We're attending school in the dream state. That we expand our consciousness not just through our physical lifetime, but also in our non-physical extension, so that there are plenty of reality constructs on the astral plane, that places that you can visit and revisit, places of learning where we go. So who's had dreams about attending school or a place of learning or teaching people, or maybe being tested and being in an exam?
We have to wait for people to catch up on that. Zachary said, I saw a rotary phone with both my grandpas and heard, call your grandpa Charlie now or never. And that was in 1986. And the same with his grandpa Y in 1991. Both died 2 days later. But he says he was wide awake though.
Wow. Well, that's a fascinating message from spirit, isn't it? Yeah. And, you know, that's another thing I was going to mention. I think we all have our own internal symbolic lexicon. You know, we have our own internal inner psychological language. So, for example, for Zachary, that idea of the telephone and contact a person now or never, that's a particular meaning. For me, it might be dreaming of a tooth falling out, or dreaming something more pertinent and specific to the person. So we all have our own inner language that we can learn to interpret and understand. So I'm not really a fan of dream dictionaries, because I think they generalize too much. But I think if you have a dream that really stands out in your mind, treat everything in the dream as a symbol. And what does this symbol mean to me? What does this symbol mean to me? Because what a telephone means to one person might mean something completely different to another person. What a tooth falling out to one person might mean something completely different to another person. So what's your dream language? What's your symbolic language that you communicate to yourself through? So dream dictionaries are great, but they generalize, and I don't believe it's the same for everyone.
No, I agree with that. I think you just says it for once, like the horoscopes in newspapers, you know, one horoscope can't be for everyone. Well, Dr. Leslie, guess what?
Is it time for a break already?
Yes, it is.
That went really fast. Listeners will be back after these messages. Welcome back, everyone, to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie. And tonight we're talking about messages that we receive in our dreams. And I'd had some experiences recently that were to do with kind of like life transitions, you know, and I recognize through my life that I've had dreams that have been about maybe inviting in, you know, new life coming in, or somebody departing and leaving us. And so I thought, well, it would be neat to do a show about common messages that we might receive in our dreams. And I was just talking about one of them, which is, I kind of blended a few together. One is like that, having an exam and that panic around having an exam. And the other is sort of like the halls of learning that exist on the astral plane. That, you know, many of us have had dream experiences where we are taking a class on the non-physical level. So I was curious about whether anyone had had dreams like that they'd like to share. And I'm going to lump it together with another one as well, which is being late, being in a panic because you're late, or being in a panic because you're late for an exam. That's another common dream.
I live in that dream
that people get
every day. We have a comment from Kimba. Kimba says, I dreamt about meeting my son before he was born. He was telling me about where he had been a bit and how extremely excited he is to be born again. And I asked him what he wanted to be named. He laughed and said it really doesn't matter. I was so speechless that this conversation was happening. All I could think of was to say, okay, well, come in and stay until you're ready to be born now. He smiled and poofed into me, and I woke up.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Kimber.
That was cool.
That's very cool, and thank you for giving us an example of that. Yeah, and you know that another dream study, scientists have talked to pregnant women, and something like 78% of them have dreamed ahead of time of what sex their child will be. They know that if it's going to be a girl or a boy because they've dreamed it. So yeah, no, it's yeah, we have connections beyond the physical. So thank you for sharing that.
And the fathers just had nightmares about having to change diapers, I guess. Okay, this is from Brian again. He says, I've had dreams of old jobs. They're not quite the same as I remember them, but I have some conscious awareness and confusion that I left that job. Not enough for a lucid dream, but I have awareness. It's like the past being in the present. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. And so places in dreams. I think another common dream, although I didn't see it on this scientist list, is when you have a dream and you're in your childhood home, or when you have a dream and you're in a house you used to live in, not the house you currently live in. And so often those place dreams, they represent a particular, like for example, a dream, if you have a dream where you're in your childhood home, then you're exploring that dimension of your childhood, you know, and the dream content, you know, maybe you're exploring beliefs that you laid down when you were a child, or events that happened when you were a child, but you're in that realm of your childhood, and you're in that realm perhaps of your family dynamic. And so I guess the same when we're revisiting an old job, that it's representing something, maybe a specific time in our life, maybe a particular area of focus or growth, and somehow we're revisiting that theme when we go back to that place in our dreams. So we do want to treat that in a way as a symbol too. It's like, well, who was I then? What was happening in my life then? What was that job all about? What was going on? You know, what does that place mean to me? What did that job mean to me? What's it symbolizing? Yeah, so places and not exactly recurring dreams, but places that we go back to every once in a while. I definitely have that every once in a while, not very often, but a dream that's set in my childhood home.
I can't recall having dreams in my childhood home. Oh, well.
Oh, well. So, okay, here's some other ones. Dream of falling.
Oh, I've had those.
Yeah, I think most people have, and you know, my explanation of that in a way is I think sometimes that's happening when you're transitioning through reality dimensions, or you're about to wake up and you're coming back to the earth plane. I think other people have other explanations. You know, if you read the classic dream journal, it probably says you feel like your life is out of control or something like that. Speeding out of control. And sort of relating to that is flying. I bet we've all had a dream about flying. They're some of the very best dreams.
That's supposed to be sexual.
Pardon?
That dream of flying is supposed to be sexual.
I don't know that I agree with that. I have many dreams where I'm flying, where I'm lucid, and I'm just enjoying flying over different parts of the planet, or, you know, so I think that it's just, it can be becoming conscious in your astral travel, that you're just propelling yourself around flying. I don't know that it's necessarily sexual, although that was on the list of the scientists' top dream themes, was sexual dreams.
I think at different ages too, at different ages you have different, your dreams mean different things.
Did you have recurring dreams or nightmares when you were a kid? Can you remember dreams that you had when you were a kid?
Oh no, that's a long time ago. No, not really.
I remember one, it sounds weird, like a nightmare, and I probably was only 2 or 3 years old. And I dreamed that there was a Christmas tree that was alive. And it was really frightening. And I remember ran into my parents' room, you know, like this, because there was this Christmas tree that was alive. And I still remember the dream to this day, many years later, because it felt really real to me at the time, I think.
The only one that I can remember from long time ago, I guess I would have been about 25 or so, was that one. I think I've mentioned it on air, is there was this woman that I worked with that I really disliked. I'm talking really disliked. And she was about my age as well. And one night I had a dream that we were madly in love. I went to work. And it was such a, it wasn't just a dream. It was like an embedding of emotion within me. And I went to work, and like, I was just madly in love with her for maybe about a half an hour. And then it went back to, the other side of that coin. But it was such a powerful dream. As I say, the emotion of love just went right in and just hung on. It was phenomenal. It was an amazing
Very
dream.
interesting dream, because usually when we dislike somebody, it's because they're reflecting back something to us that really exists within ourselves, that we are in denial of. And so that dream to me feels like a healing dream, where you are embracing a part of your own self that you have been rejecting. And often when people we know show up in our dream, sometimes it's not that it's that person, it's that person is a symbol. And so it's like, well, what does that person represent to me? What do I associate with that person? Because they may just be a symbol representing that thing that you associate with them. Or they may be you genuinely meeting with the person. So the other one on this list of common dreams is naked, being naked in public. I don't think I've ever had that dream, actually.
No, I don't think I have either. No.
Has anyone who's listening dreamed that they were naked in public?
Yeah, look, they're all gonna.
That's willing to admit it.
And do you have pictures? This is from Anderini. Anderini says, I have lots of dreams being tested or have to solve problems, but not in class setting. It's like Survivor, like, but not that wild.
Oh, cool.
Just practicing for Survivor.
Yeah, cool. And I think often as well, what we will do in our dreams is we will try to figure things out. Often things that are going on in our life that perhaps we've not figured out in our waking life, then we can sort of take it offline into our dream world and figure it out there. When we're not, bound and limited by our intellect, and when we have more of a expansive field of exploration available to us. So we'll figure it out in the dream and then perhaps bring the solution in to our waking life.
I've done a lot of that. A lot of the things when I'm doing a project or something around the house and I can't figure it out, I'll check out Google, but I'll wake up in the morning and go, yes, I can do it that way. And sure enough, I get it done. It's very interesting. I have to say, I truly enjoy those dreams. Mind you, I have dreams where I do it like 30 times different ways. And I'm just like, I wake up in the morning exhausted, but, Okay, this is from Zachary. Zachary says, I did see my late mom who passed on the 15th of the first month, 2009, months ago in a dream, following a lady, Lisa, in a park setting. I knew who, and he knew whose daughter had cancer. I feel my mom was helping her. The daughter just passed. I trembled seeing my mom reaching out to hold her hand, though some invisible barrier like a fence through an invisible barrier like a fence. Very profound, he said.
It sounds very profound, doesn't it? It's like she's reaching across the veil or reaching from her realm through to assist this other one.
Yeah.
That's
a nice dream, though.
It's a lovely dream. So another one that I thought of, which I had happened quite a few times in the past, although really not in recent years, being bitten by an animal. Have you ever been bitten by an animal in a dream? Like a snake or a lion or some other creature? That, again, I think my interpretation of that might be a bit different than a dream journal. I think in a dream journal, it probably says, it's some bestial part of you that you're fighting with. But I think there's also a traditional indigenous interpretation of that it's relating to your totem animal. That it's one way that you meet your totem animal is if it bites you in a dream. It's like it's announcing itself to you.
That's interesting.
Yes, yeah.
Can't say I've heard that interpretation, but. Okay,
Yes.
one more for this section, and then we'll go on.
Okay.
To more. This is from Katie. Katie says, I've had a dream a few times where I'm driving and had to step on the brake pedal all the way to the floor just to slow down. And sometimes the car doesn't come to a complete stop.
Yes, thank you, Katie, because I think that is another common type of dream where we're driving in our car. And I think sometimes what the car is about, it represents your life, your life and driving your life, so yeah, that feels like, things are going too fast. Need to slow them down. Yeah, thank you for sharing that one. Yeah, I think that's quite common too, people dreaming that they're driving. And also trains, waiting on train stations and catching trains or catching buses or catching airplanes. And I heard something interesting the other day where someone was interpreting that to mean to do with switching timelines. Like you're on one track and you're on one timeline and then you're switching timelines. So I think those are quite common dreams as well, travel dreams. Anyway, we'll leave it there. We'll go for a quick break and then we'll come back and open to further comments and questions from our listeners. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey, talking about dreams, wanting to now focus all hearing about your dreams. So what do we have, Corey?
We have a dream from Tracy. Tracy says, I had a dream that involved an unborn baby. I did a reading for the mother before she was pregnant. Spirit told me that what to tell her so she could become pregnant, and it worked. Right before the baby was born, I dreamed of him and he gave me a beautiful poem that I wrote down. The poem was about being born as light into a dark world, and how your light is unique and needed. I love this experience.
Oh, how beautiful. How beautiful. You know, it's funny, when my brother and I, we were very, very young, we used to play this game called Light in the Dark. It used to be our favorite game. And I mean really young, like toddler age. And I look back on that and I think there's something profound about that game that we used to play. Because that is what we're doing, isn't it? We're bringing light into the dark. So, yeah, thank you, Tracy.
Don't hide your light under a bushel, as it says in the scripture. Okay, next one is from Brian. Brian says, yes, I dreamt of a family home, not my childhood home, but a house in the family that was haunted up to a few years ago. They were creepy because I was aware of a presence there upstairs. I believe I had some kind of experience there, but repressed it. And those dreams may be linked to that, like a subconscious expression. Though I feel it's more, perhaps you could take, I feel it's more, perhaps you could take a brief look at it for me. He's curious.
Okay, I will.
Color him curious.
My mind went a little bit somewhere else then, because it made me think of another type of dream to talk about, but I think I got the gist of it. So it's like a house in your family that was haunted, and you dreamed that you were in this haunted house. Is that about it, Corey?
Yeah. There's a presence upstairs. I believe I had some kind of experience there, but repressed it. Those dreams may be linked to that.
Well, when I look at the experience that you're referring to, I just see fear, a lot of fear. So whatever it was, it looks like it's something that frightened you. And, you know, sometimes we do repress frightening things, don't we? And it's funny, you're showing it to me almost in a comical way, you know, in a cartoon when somebody sees a ghost and their hair stands on end. Well, you're showing me this funny cartoon hair standing on end image, but but the feeling is of something that really shocked you and frightened you. That's really all I'm seeing about it. But you sharing that made me think about another type of dream, which in my experience is super common, and I meet people all the time who have this experience, and I've had loads of these type of experiences myself as well, which is well, not exactly, so I'm going to call it an abduction dream, like an alien abduction dream, or a dream where you are experiencing being on a spaceship, or meeting with an alien or somebody who's from another reality. That's a common dream in my experience, or especially perhaps from people who are more into the metaphysical side of things. So has anyone ever had an alien abduction dream? I've had loads of dreams of being on spacecraft and things, and conscious experiences of it too. So yeah, anyone had an experience like that? I'd be interested to know.
Okay, so let's pop into next one. It's from Katie. Katie says, my understanding of interpreting dreams. Whoops, I've got something in the way there. Katie says, my understanding of interpreting dreams in or about houses and homes is that it represents the person who is dreaming, or if it is unknown whose home it is, it could represent our unexplored or unacknowledged parts of ourselves. By the way, folks, if you're enjoying the show, please give us a like. And whether you're on YouTube or Facebook, that'd be wonderful.
I could go a lot. I definitely agree with that, Katie, because often dreams are about your inner psychological landscape. So you're exploring your inner psychological landscape, known and unknown. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay. This is for Brian again. It says, I did have a nightmare where I approached the window in my room. I didn't know I was dreaming, and some sort of creature like a werewolf leaped up at me, and I woke up. I found out much later my dad also had a dream of some sort of Bigfoot-like creature trying to pull him through a window. Scared him badly, but I don't know if we had it the same night. But the similarity was so bizarre.
Yeah, that's interesting. And yeah, maybe you did. You know, these abduction experiences can run in families because there can be an interest in a particular genetic line. So I have a friend who has a connection with a particular group, and her grandmother did. Right. So I think that that's not unknown that members of the same family might have, you know, similar experiences like that.
Okay. I'm not sure the name of this person. I think it's B. And it says, we just had a death in the family. And the night prior to my sister-in-law viewing, I had a dream. And at the tail end of the dream, I had flashes of death scene of a male. I woke up sick because I felt as though I caused this man's murder. I was convinced it was me. I asked friends if this happened, and they assured me no such thing occurred. With days passing, the idea of me causing this left my mind and seemed like it absolutely did not happen. But I can't help but wonder, was it a past life thing or something just triggered by my sister-in-law's death?
It sounds like it sounds
do regression days.
Yeah,
thank you, by the way.
It sounds like a past life, doesn't it? It sounds very much like a past life.
Yeah, like we were talking, one of the earlier comments, I think it was one of Brian's, you were saying that, or Zachary, you know, it was, I looked at it as a precognitive thing, you know, a precognitive dream. Uh, those are quite common as well. But we don't always recognize them as that, right?
Yes, yeah. I was just going to comment a bit more on that lady's dream. Well, it just made me wonder whether there was more to the sister-in-law's death, whether there was a relationship between the death that you saw in the dream and the death in the sister-in-law, whether it's the same character, right? So that's something to explore. Mm-hmm. But yes, precognitive dreams, there's many scientific studies on those, and they're, depending on the study, up to 90% of people or more has experienced some kind of precognition in their dreams. So that's very, very common. And it can, we've done a show on this. It can be just things that are happening in your life. I used to keep a dream journal, and I used to have dreams like this all the time, you know, that I'd dream of someone I was going to meet before I met them. Or I dream of the circumstances that were going to happen in some kind of relationship that I was in, and then they would happen. Or even on a global scale, world events. So I had a few precognitive dreams in my time about world events. But of course, it's only in after the event has occurred that you can make the link usually, isn't it? You know, that, you know, I've had some dreams where it's like, I swear there's going to be an airplane crash and then nothing happens. But I've had other dreams where there's been an airplane crash and then it happens. So yeah, I think that we're tuning into possibilities and probabilities and likelihoods in our dream state where we're outside of time, space. So we're exploring a bit of a wider range of probabilities and possibilities in the mass consciousness, and not all of them end up coming to fruition in our physical reality space. Do we have any more comments or questions?
Well, Brian says, thanks, Dr. Leslie. My brother told me I saw a ghost in that house and when it happened, but I don't remember it at all.
Yeah, it sort of seemed like that really to me. Yeah.
You know, we touched briefly in about nightmares this afternoon when we were speaking. And as far back as I can remember in my life, I've never had what people would consider to be a nightmare. I've had like weird and strange dreams, but I've always woken and enjoyed them. You know, like it's not, to me, even though it might be another person's nightmare, to me it was just like going to a movie. You know, like I enjoyed it.
Yeah, interesting. I used to have, a long time ago again, I had a sort of recurring nightmare. And I say recurring, not every night, but every once in a while, being chased by somebody with a syringe who wanted to inject me with the syringe.
I lived that nightmare.
Yeah, well, I certainly did. I did not really like needles and having blood taken when I was younger.
Yeah. When I was in college, in my first year of college, I dated a nursing student. They used to practice on oranges, and her and her friend one day chased me through the apartment trying to give me a shot of nothing.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I lived that nightmare. Yeah.
Oh, that is a nightmare. Yeah, so maybe we can ask our listeners to share any nightmares that they've had. I have one that I'm almost like not sure whether to share it.
Let me just give you a quick. Zachary says, remember Pharaoh's dream of 7 skinny cows coming out of the Nile meant 7 years of drought.
Oh, that's right. 7 years of bumper.
So,
Seven. Yeah, I wish I could remember the words to Andrew Lloyd Webber and what's his name's Joseph. 7 years of bumper crops.
yeah. So that you know, that would be more prophetic, wouldn't than?
Yes, yeah, that's a prophetic dream.
Yeah.
And so many prophets and prophetic dreams in the Bible and the ancient spiritual books. I think we did a show on that not so long ago, actually, oddly enough, prophets, didn't we? I'm pretty sure we did.
Yeah, we did, I think. Yeah, pretty sure, if I can remember correctly. And Brian says, I can count on one hand the number of nightmares I've had in my lifetime. I always wake up at the climax of it, so I luckily never find out what happened. Yeah, but that's the best part, Brian. I can't tell you how many dragons I've slain.
You?
Yeah.
Actual dragons?
Yeah, in my dreams. Yeah. The sword.
That's interesting.
I used to read a lot of science fiction books, and so a lot of the books are related in that way. There's one series that was about dragons.
I don't know if I've ever dreamed of a dragon.
Tonight you will.
Maybe.
I have one more question. I don't mean to interrupt you, but
no, please go ahead.
You can figure it out. if you want to. So I'm not sure if I've covered. This is from Katie. She says, I'm not sure if you've covered this topic in another show, but maybe if you're doing a show on Halloween, can you tell us about the different intuitive decks, their uses and common misconceptions, such as tarot, oracle cards, and even your portico deck cards?
What did you say? Tarot, oracle, and what?
Portico card deck.
Oh,
Yours.
okay. Oh God, there's so many different card decks out there, isn't there?
She was saying do it in as a show.
I know she was, but I don't know.
Yeah, we're not going to be doing Halloween, so
I mean, the tarot deck is very ancient indeed, and many people talk about it going back as far as ancient Egypt. It actually goes back as far as Atlantis. So ancient Egypt was resulted out of Atlantis, actually. And it is a kind of, what should we say? It represents the journey of man, the evolution of man, the different stages and evolution of consciousness that we go through in our life journey or in our human journey. It's like the journey of becoming enlightened, of going from the fool to understanding the entire world and nature of reality. So it's an ancient system. It's an ancient spiritual system, the tarot. And more these days, often people are using it. They're using, to help people understand their lives, sometimes to do, future readings. But it originally was meant to be very introspective and a teaching system.
Even before that, it was actually developed as a game, a game deck.
That is what is said about it in its Egyptian origins, but it's more ancient than that, and it's originally a spiritual system. So many different types of oracle decks, aren't there?
Yeah, it's all kinds. It's amazing when you go into a metaphysical store and you see all the decks of cards.
So, I think that, they're all systems to help you interface with the spiritual dimension. And different ones have different flavors. I'll tell you, one of my favorite decks is this one. It's called Galactic Heritage Cards by Lisa Royal. It's brilliant. So if you're interested in the galactic stuff, I recommend it. It follows the evolution of different races of extraterrestrials from their early unevolved state into their more advanced, more evolved state. And so the cards relate to their, what you could say, their ascension process or their enlightenment process. And of course, we can learn from all of them and from all of it. So I think, a lot of these decks, it depends on what you're interested in, what you're wanting, what energies you're wanting to connect in with. My portico cards, they're channeled art, and they are kind of abstract, semi-abstract channeled art, highly symbolic, and a way of connecting in with the subconscious. And because they're so semi-abstract, you can, they're like portals, or I call them portico, because that word means it's like the opening to a temple, because they're helping you open pathways to your higher consciousness, or to the spirit realm, or to your intuition, through the symbolism and the colors, and they help you bypass your intellect as well. So, I mean, you know, they're great to help you to, I would just say, whatever you're attracted to, whatever you resonate with, go for it.
I know your portico cards, when we used to work at the fairs, we used to go to the body, mind, spirit fairs. I used to do a lot of readings off of those cards while Dr. Leslie was in doing readings with people, and I would just do individual readings. I've done hundreds of them, and I could pull the same card 4 times in a row for 4 different people and
And it
get a
means,
completely different.
yeah,
It
exactly.
was amazing. Well, Dr. Leslie, I don't have cards to tell you this, but it's time to go for the
Okay.
night.
I guess we're going to see you guys in 2 weeks for Halloween.
Yeah, yeah. And we'll see you all then.
Bye.
Thanks for showing up. We appreciate it.